looked like up on the mountain that they were starting to turn. So,
Wow.
yeah.
That's amazing. It is.
Yes.
And it somehow it happened so fast after Labor Day.
It does.
I mean, yeah.
It does. And there's snow on Pikes Peak. It snowed yesterday on the peak. So
It's
yeah.
fall.
And
Snow on the peak.
The weekend is going to be the Pikes Peak Marathon and Ascent. So they may get a little snow in their paths up there.
That's an exciting race for truly insane people.
I don't know if you guys know, but they run up Pikes Peak. It's 14,000 something feet, and they run up and run down.
We used to live in Hinton, which is very close to Jasper National Park in central Alberta, and they have the death race, and you run over 3 peaks in the mountains, and it takes people. Some people do it by themselves, and other people do it in teams of 3, and it's like a 24-hour race.
Well, they run up and back in like 3 or 4 hours.
Oh,
up 14,000. So maybe that could be an exaggeration. Whatever they do, it's really, really fast.
It's a high climb and then straight down.
Yeah, straight up.
Yeah, when it's a down part, that's really hard.
And I'm just here for about 20 minutes. I just stopped in to say hello.
Okay.
My topic is Google and the feds getting sued or getting prosecuted for whatever it is.
This is a very interesting
What is Google
topic.
Yeah, what did I miss? What's Google getting prosecuted for?
What's it called when they have a monopoly?
Oh.
They don't really, because I don't use Google. I chose not to. Everybody can choose not to use Google.
I think the monopoly they're referring to is the advertising monopoly.
Actually, it's the data collection, is what NPR said yesterday.
Yeah, that's all the same thing. It's because they've got so much control over the advertising market that there's no one to compete with. Everybody has to go through Google.
No, they don't. I don't.
I'm sorry. I don't mean us. I don't mean us. I mean marketers.
But they don't have to either.
Well, they don't, but then nobody will see it.
The trial in a landmark antitrust case against Google is scheduled to start on Tuesday in Washington.
Yeah.
The suit filed by U.S. Justice presents the biggest legal challenge to the power and influence of big tech.
Well, it'll be interesting.
Search trial will be hugely consequential.
They're really doing the search, is how I got the message. And that the last time they did something like this was with Microsoft 20 some years ago, and now they're saying that this will set the stage for future.
Oh, so it is I've been out too long. I need to get caught up.
It's pretty interesting. I have mixed feelings. I mean, I am not a Google search engine user. I choose not to, and I don't like that. I don't like their invasiveness, so I choose not to use them, and I think everybody can. So it's like when you say, I want to Google something. Well, no, I'm going to search for it. I don't have to Google it.
Well said.
Well, I think they're going to get in trouble simply from their emails because everything's disclosed. And so you get to listen to the motivation behind management decisions. And I think that's really what's going to bite them in the ass, is because it's one thing to do things and not be aware. It's another thing to be absolutely aware of the things that you're doing.
Okay, so the U.S. is, the one I'm reading, it says basically that they're trying to argue that Google abused its power to monopolize the internet search. So they abused the power that they had on the internet.
Yeah, in those monopolistic tendencies that large organizations tend to have.
Hmm. I don't know. Did you welcome us, and are you streaming?
Oh, I guess I haven't. I did press the stream button, so we are live. I'm Scott. However, Cheryl's in charge today because I am constantly distracted with other work today. But I did find this article from the Justice Department, and the title of it is Justice Department sues Google for monopolizing digital advertising technologies.
Oh.
Damn it. That is the one, but it is an article from January. Where is the one from today or from most recently? I mean,
Actually,
this is the piece they're bringing.
the trial starts
PG.
today. I guess it's a trial. It starts today, or it started today.
Yeah, it started today. This is the Justice Department's press release that happened in January.
Which really isn't relevant in September.
Yeah, only that it would say what they were bringing charges. I mean, it would lay out what they were trying to do. It's just taken this long to come to court.
Oh.
But here's an NPR article about it. That is probably what you were reading, Judy, right? Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome. I'm gonna
I
let
want to
Cheryl.
know who put Cheryl in charge.
Okay, I'm gonna leave Cheryl in charge.
Come on. You don't know what it's like for the next 3 days.
He's just bitter because I've been near Cheryl the last couple of days. I have to administer eye drops before his surgery. So I hold him down and I squirt things in his eyes 4 times
What kind
a
of
day.
surgery are you having, Bill?
They're taking my eyeballs out and replacing them.
Oh, that should be fun to see.
Ouch.
Well, is that pun intended?
Yes.
You get to choose new eye color.
Fun to see. He's getting both cataracts done.
Oh,
When is that happening?
Day after tomorrow.
Oh, well, good
Bill's
luck
getting-
day after tomorrow.
Linda, Bill's getting cataract surgery tomorrow, day after tomorrow.
Oh, tell him I've got my fingers and toes crossed.
BT, Linda says tell you she's got her fingers crossed for you. Her cataract experience was not a good one.
Well, I got my eyes crossed too, so I guess we're even.
Okay.
So we've already had our first topic, Google lawsuit. What's next, Scott?
Well, I'm still in Phoenix. We'll probably do in-person meetings next week. So
Wow.
that's something to think about. Oh, wait, no, not next week. I'm sorry. I think our standard is the first Tuesday of October. So we'll return to in-person meetings on the 3rd.
See who's in town.
Yeah.
Not me.
Now I'm probably going to be closer to the 15th this year.
No.
I'm going to be there, I think, on
No,
my plan
20th.
is the
Yeah.
16th to be there. So,
Well, we're getting there.
yeah.
And we're going to be there the earliest ever on November the 12th.
Wow.
We're usually mid-December, so we're coming a good month earlier this year.
As Coach Prime would say, you're coming.
Speaking of Phoenix, where Scott is, I've had an interesting time. Facebook, I belong to a couple of different groups, the Canadian snowbirders, different people that travel to the States or south somewhere. And a lot of us choose to fly home from the Mesa airport to Alberta. And our low-cost airfare agent or airline is defunct, and its sister or its overriding one is WestJet. WestJet will not offer flights out of Mesa Gateway, which is a nice, small, easy to get to, easy to park at airport, and they only will offer them out of Phoenix. And the ones that they offer out of the Sky Harbor won't come direct to Edmonton. So we have to go to Calgary and then get another 45-minute flight north. And it's just really frustrating. So what I did was I posted, I asked WestJet, would you please, let me know if you are going to be offering flights. And I keep getting kind of strange messages. So I got a hold of Mesa Gateway Airport through Facebook Messenger, and they said, no, WestJet has definitely moved it over to Sky Harbor, but if you want it, you and everybody else, let WestJet know. So I'm trying to let WestJet know that I want this changed, and I'm getting these messenger things from 3 different WestJet airlines. 2 of them are scam, fake, and they're asking me for my phone number, they're asking me for my email address, and all these things, and it's just, they don't answer my questions directly, they ask me something else, so I know that they're not right. So I've blocked them, and I've deleted them, and I've unfollowed them, and I've reported them, and they keep coming back about an hour later. So it's just, my phone has been going ding, 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 ding. It's just been ridiculous, Oh.
That's a mess.
Yeah. So their profiles have been created or recreated, and it looks like WestJet Airlines. And I had this once before, and WestJet said it has to have our swoop, like our logo. And I've noticed that it changes. Sometimes it's a woman's face, sometimes it's a WestJet plane, sometimes it's different things, and they change a little bit on their profile. WestJet Airlines customer service, the WestJet airline. They've just changed little things, but it is a real pain.
Hey, to call back to the Google being sued, I'm wrong. The antitrust for advertisers is a different lawsuit,
Right.
and it makes mention this lawsuit that has just finally
It's pretty much stopped.
was filed in 2020. And so they're finally bringing it to, it's a civil lawsuit that was filed in 2020 from the Justice Department that is finally now getting started today.
Well, and it looks like the one today is the Google search and how they monopolized the search part of it. But you say it's tied to the advertising?
Yeah, it's tied to advertising. The monopolistic tendencies are all tied to advertising. And actually, I just put a link in the document for this case. Oh, this one doesn't have a diagram, though.
The Justice Department has market power. Oh, the Justice Department has accused Google of using its market power to unfairly lock out rivals and position itself as a gatekeeper of the web. So it's more their behavior.
Yeah. Yeah, gatekeepers is the terminology being used in the European Union nowadays when they're making regulations. They refer to these very large tech companies as gatekeepers because they have so much power. They're able to just pick and choose who gets access and who's able to benefit from it.
And NPR actually did mention Dogpile as a good search engine, as well as DuckDuckGo.
Dogpile, I haven't heard that in a long time. I
haven't used it. I switched to DuckDuckGo quite a while ago.
I do DuckDuckGo until I don't get an answer I want, and then I go back to Google. When I can't find what I need.
Also, another quick, before I have to go, another quick one is that the iPhone 15 is coming out, which will have the old, well, not the old, but will have a compatible charging
USB-C.
cable and port.
Yes, it will have USB-C. Actually, that's going on right now. We're supposed to be monitoring that as this meeting's going on.
Right, 15 is coming out really soon, so.
Wonder if I can get that streaming on something. I totally forgot that today is the day. Today is
the day.
Today is the day of the announcement.
I did look to see if I could pre-order a iPhone 15, but I cannot. But I looked yesterday, so.
Yeah, you won't be able to until this event ends.
Right.
So this event is announcing what? It's like a new iOS? No.
No.
But
It's announcing the new
models
of iPads and things like that. And then I saw, I don't know whether they're announcing the iPhone 15 today or not, but it is coming. So I won't have to have all these different cables to plug everything in. It'll be up to your standards. So anyway, have a good meeting. Fun chatting.
Judy, just before you leave,
Yes.
Judy, the Canadian government is doing things with Meta and these different and Facebook, with all Google, all of them, where they're not allowed to use Canadian news things without paying the news sources.
Wow.
So we as Canadians on Facebook, we can't see any of our news reports. We can't see anything. We have to go directly to their news websites and things like that. It's been going on since August 1st. And
that's annoying.
Yeah, during our wildfire things, local newspapers couldn't share their news. It had to come directly from the cities, the fire departments, those kind of things. Anything that was a news agency, they were blocked on Facebook. And I noticed that in my memories, if I had shared a news report in the past, like 5 years ago, it's blacked out. It won't show up on my profile or anything. So, because the Canadian government has taken them to court to say that they need to pay to use the news stories.
You would think that public safety would be, I mean, that would be the big thing. It's not a very safe way of the government to do business.
Yeah, we understand the concern is that these services are able to summarize the news to an extent at which they don't need to visit the platformer. And so the news outlet misses out on all that possible revenue and loses the incentive to actually create news. And so that's been the concern.
It's like the killing of the newspapers and all of that. Yeah.
It's like the Mexico News Daily now. I cannot read articles because it keeps telling me that I've used my limit without a subscription.
Oh, because it has a paywall. Well, it's not quite the same. It's a little bit more like you got books at a bookstore and you ripped off the covers and put your own covers on them. And then you copied them and distributed them. It's I mean, it really is like you don't have to go to the New York Times if you can read the whole article in a Google search or a Facebook post. There's no way for them to get any of that ad revenue or subscription revenue.
Right. So the bylaw, it became law in June that requires big tech companies to compensate the media organizations if they want to continue to host Canadian news content on their platforms. And so then they balked and they said, no, well, then we just won't share your news. And they're getting a lot of flack from the Canadians and different people. So it's a fight, and we're not sure. And I know that Australia did this too. I think
I was-
Australia did this a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I was going to say that Canada's not the only one. I think it's Spain
Yeah.
as well.
Oh, Spain?
Yeah, I think it's
know
Wow.
somewhere
I
in
think
Europe.
it's Spain and Australia.
Yeah.
I found the Apple event. But oh, you know what? I remember I shouldn't stream it to you guys because they'll shut down our channel.
Right. Anyway, have a good weekend. See you next week. Bye.
See you next week, Judy.
Cases.
What about Brando over there? They phasing you out too?
Oh,
What's next?
electricity.
Electricity status.
Yeah. You were talking about weather. Of course, I have nothing to contribute to the computer situation right now, but we are cold here. We are in the 40s and it's been raining a lot. There's snow. We do have our termination dust up on the hills now, Scott.
Huh.
So you can come back if you want, honey.
It had just started the day I left. There was just the littlest bit of termination dust.
Yeah, well, there's a lot more now. It's dreary. Wow, we're a lively club today, aren't we?
Well, I did provide
Sandy, what was
topics if you guys are interested. But go
The
ahead, Jim.
Japanese one about the robots in school.
I just thought that was a great topic because apparently the robots are to get kids less anxious and get them back into the classroom. Apparently they've had high truancies ever since COVID. Kids are anxious and don't feel comfortable being in the classroom, so they're just choosing to stay at home. So the robots are the Japanese way of slowly easing them back into school, which if you read the description of the robots, they said they're 2 meters tall. I was at first concerned when I started reading it that like what's going to stop these robots from being bullied, and then I realized they're as tall as I am.
Oh, that's funny.
Okay, I have a story about robots being bullied. Is
Okay,
anybody interested?
sure.
Somebody in Western Canada had an art project, a college art project, where they made this little robot-looking man that they put on the side of the highway and with a sign saying, traveling to the East Coast, something like that, please give me a ride. So people would pick them up and take them along if they're going in the right direction and set them down when they were finished, and somebody else would pick them up. And it took them about 2 weeks to get across Canada. So they thought, well, this is cool. We'll try it coming back in the States. He lasted 2 days before he was dismantled, like beat up and dismantled. Just saying.
That's a sad commentary.
Dismantled.
I guess the moral of the story is don't dress up as a little hitchhiking robot if you're going in the States. I'll see if I can find the picture of him.
That robot was so impressive till it hit the United States, and then within days it was just abused and off the side of the road.
Yeah, he was torn apart, basically. I think somebody wanted a souvenir.
Well, I think somebody was afraid of it. It's usually why they bully something. It's different.
Yeah, maybe. Or it could just be somebody that's bored. We do have destructive people.
Well, we do have them here, too.
Oh, hey, did you see this AP article
They're
about
very bad.
this topic? The U.S. claims Google
Oh,
pays more than $10 billion a year to maintain its search dominance.
To maintain what?
The search dominance. I mean,
Whoa.
basically, they're saying that they're paying off politicians and businesses to keep the status quo. Yeah, I think that's what's really going to hurt them in this is all these things, all these practices that they're doing are going to come out in disclosure.
I bet you the lobbyists for Google are extremely well paid.
Yeah, I'm certain you're right. I've got the Apple thing going on another device over here.
Oh, is that what I can hear? I
Can you
thought
hear
that
that
it was
coming through
in
me?
Jim's. I can hear a little bit. It's bleeding through. But
Let me turn it down a bit. Right now they're talking about sustainability and electricity.
well, I'll just update you on I now have a blue screen, but I did get my computer started, and then it was all wanky, so I thought I'll try restarting it again. And 2 apps are stopping it from restarting, and I have to push restart anyway. One's a GTI plus something. I don't know. I've never heard of these apps. Strange things happening in my HP.
Well, you know what I wanted to
Okay,
say
I
when you
posted.
mentioned that computer? I just walked through a Walmart here in Phoenix, well, in Scottsdale,
Yeah?
and they had computers that would replace that HP in a heartbeat, running Windows 11, now 8 gigs of RAM, solid state hard drives for $199. And they didn't have just
What?
one, they had a half a dozen in that class that were all under $200 running Windows 11. I thought, wow, if I was desperate for a computer, like if all of a sudden mine was stolen, I would just run to Walmart and buy a $200 computer because it would keep up with whatever I was doing before.
Okay, Scott, I just posted the Wikipedia story about the HBot.
Oh,
Hitchbot. I think his name was Smith.
where'd you put it? Is it in the
In
document?
the document for today.
Oh, in the
Where is
document.
it? I don't see it.
Let's see.
I don't see you in it either. It's the 48th meeting.
It's what?
I think
I
you're in
see
the wrong
Sean.
document, dear.
Oh, I might be in the wrong document.
Put it in the chat, income
Well,
messaging.
okay, but I'm running 2 computers. It's on my laptop. I'll go find it on this one.
Huh. Oh, my computer's back up.
So far, they're talking about their contributions to environmental concerns, and now we're on to watch bans. That's what big
Watch
tech.
bands?
That's what big tech's all about. The pretty band you can put on your Apple Watch.
Be still my beating heart.
That's right. Oh, I guess they are announcing the S9 chip. S9 SIP, which I imagine means System Integrated Processor. But that's what the new watch is based on, is an S9 chip. I did not catch all of that. I'll have to go back and check it out later. So I did put another topic in here. Did you see the sand size microchips? This is a really interesting article. They're saying that they're going to use these ID chips to thwart counterfeit foods and drugs. And the chips are these micro, in fact, there's a picture of how they would compare to the size of a quarter. They're these little tiny dots on the top of this quarter. And the interesting thing is that you to compare them to RFID tags, which you guys now have some familiarity with.
Yeah, no shade out there.
The tap to pay uses that kind of system, and there's a number of distributors of products. Like a lot of the Walmart inventory, each product has a sticker on it with an RFID tag, and they can point a scanner at a pallet and find all the different products that are on that pallet. So that's how RFID works. This problem they're solving is they say RFID is too big. And it also powers, there's some issue with the idea of the reason, oh, I know what it is. The reason that it's so big is because of the antenna that they have to use to induce the power when you send a scanner to it. And so this is these micro dots, and apparently you can power them with laser light. You can also embed them in, I forget what it is, some kind of poly material, something that protects it. They're calling them food safe, but they also in the article said they weren't designed specifically to be ingested, which makes me think that they're getting us set up to, if you ingest them by accident, it's okay. I'm going to put the HitchBot article in our document that Bill just shared.
Oh, you found it?
HitchBot.
Yeah, I found it.
Oh, there it is. Okay. "2013, 10 years ago."
There's even, when you search for the HitchBot, you even see there's an article about the autopsy.
2015 is when he went to the States. It went to the States.
It didn't make it past 2015.
Yeah, didn't make it past Philadelphia.
Boston to San Francisco starting on July 17th. On August 1st, 2 weeks, had been stripped and decapitated in Philadelphia. Oh my goodness.
Apple Watch battery, they just said 3 days. No, a day and a half to 3 days. 3 days on low power. Well, you guys have exhausted my topics. I do think
And I
this,
fear
the sand-sized microchips, when you read this article, you'll get a real feel for what they're trying to accomplish. The idea, I mean, we've always used the analogy with IPv6 that you could give an address to each leaf on each tree in the entire planet because it's such a robust addressing scheme. Well, they're taking that idea to a whole new level. This is an ID number that can be attached to anything that you could imagine. So you can, oh, and it's based on bit chain technology, which means that there are no two numbers that are the same. and they have a digital presence in in a ledger so that they can be kept track of. So these are like micro dots that you'd think espionage. These dots could be, I mean, they're like I could be holding one right now. That's how small these dots are. There could be a dot between my two fingers right now.
My
And
God.
and so this dot could exist on the side of an orange, right? Or stuck to the battery in your phone, or I don't know, each one of your tires. They use the example of the dot could be integrated into the braking mechanism. Apparently, we just recently went through some brake recall thing. I think it was brakes. And they had to recall just 1 million cars. Oh, maybe it was the airbags I'm thinking of. But they had to recall. It was like 1 million cars. It was across all these dealerships. And it was because they didn't have a way of identifying which one had the bad part, because the bad part was so innocuous that it just ended up in the flow of production. And so every one had to be replaced because they weren't able to track which lot had the bad part. And so they used that as an example, is they could microdot each part in the car, and then they could limit those recalls down to hundreds or thousands instead of tens of thousands or 1 million.
That's extraordinary.
Well, the other thing that's very strange, though, is you could imagine these microdots being used in nefarious ways. Like you could sprinkle microdots outside of somebody's house as they walk through them, right? I've got a container of microdots, and every one of them I've got identified, and I could end up, I don't know, setting up a situation where people are getting microdotted and they don't even know it because they're so small. Like Spider-Man tracer that he throws on people.
Wow.
You do need to be within close proximity to get the ID number off of something, and you have to use a laser scanner. You have to use laser light scanner. But it really opens up your eyes to the potentials of what they're talking about here.
Yeah, it's not difficult to imagine 5 years down the road what that world would look like.
Well, and I wonder how important it is that that light is focused on it. If you could just cast light on it, then you could just turn on the light in a room, and all of a sudden microdots would start announcing their ID numbers, kind of like saying hello. Well, again, you've exhausted my topics for today. Who else wants to bring something to the floor?
Sadly, I have nothing technical to discuss, but I do have a good book recommendation.
Oh, absolutely.
You guys may have discussed this before. The Great Alone about
Yes.
Alaska.
Yep.
You
Yep.
all you've discussed it before.
Yep. Have you are you reading it?
I just finished it.
Well, what do you think?
Wow. Wow. It was a great read.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I read it at the beginning of the summer. I got it, and I can't remember who, if it was Susan or somebody from our club that had said something about it, and then I shared it here because I figured the Alaska crowd would really like it.
Yeah,
So,
I must have missed that. But
What's amazing is that the author has never been to Alaska, so she really did her research.
yeah.
And apparently she has several other books that I haven't gotten into yet, but they are equally as good. Not about Alaska, about other places. And she just must have an amazing way of gathering good information and telling stories, because they tell me they are equally as good.
Yeah, I was surprised at how detailed the insights to what it was like to homestead in the 70s in Alaska. I mean, I really got a strong feeling of how hard that must have been, how difficult.
And not only the Alaska bit, but the coming home from war, you know, the PTSD, all of that
Right.
kind of issue, and the family. Like, boy, they had everything in that book.
Yeah, they really did.
You know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was. It sure wasn't hard to keep going. That's for sure. I
No.
think it's the only one that I've read. Bang, 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 bang. You know, the other ones, I start them, I leave them for a while, and that one kept me right on. Yeah.
Well, I gave it to my sister. She came up to visit, so I gave it to her on the way home, and she had it read in 3 days. Can you
Yeah.
imagine?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing else happened. She just read.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hi, Terry. You're finally on.
You know, I was thinking about what we've just been watching that might really be appropriate for this group. They may have discussed it already. You're ready to talk about the name of the TV series, but basically it was the creation of Spotify. And it was all new information. To me, it was pretty fascinating. Sandy, why don't you go ahead and share what you were going to say the name of it?
Oh, yeah, it's called Playlist. I think it's just out on Netflix.
Playlist.
And it's a limited series. And it was really, it really sucked you in. You wanted to stick with it.
What caught my ear was Scott using the term paywall. I hadn't heard that before, but they were talking about it in this Spotify.
Yeah. Anyway,
Sounds good.
It's all about the development of Spotify and the troubles they had, of course, and the people involved. They even get to Taylor Swift's. I can't remember quite what she did, but she took them down for a while.
Oh, right. I forget what that was.
Yeah, she felt like they weren't getting paid enough.
No, she removed her discography from Spotify. She refused to sign a contract with them.
Right, right.
She's big enough that put a real dent in them. I mean, like, it really everybody focused on what's going on with Spotify. She encouraged people to get her music in other ways and was really using her platform to try and get more money from Spotify for all the artists.
Yeah, we have
Good for her.
musicians, recording artists, friends in San Carlos that often tell us about that. For example, Mark Mulligan does not have his music on there. I know that Sam Rainwater does. Bobby and Leslie have tried to make their living with their music, and it's been very, very difficult. They talk about their pennies of royalties, but I did notice, I think it was last week sometime, was it, Bill, that the whole of Bobby and Leslie's recording, whatever, was featured on, I think it was on Spotify. It was on one of the streaming services. And it was over
99.
It was 99 songs, 99 recordings that Bobby and Leslie had done.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah, that was pretty cool to see all the whole catalog. And I don't know if it was free for a weekend or something, or somehow they were featured.
What intrigued me about the whole experience was that this Daniel Ek, who was really the driving force behind it, was well-intentioned initially. He was trying to figure out a way to pay musicians for their work. And by the end of the show, we got Taylor Swift reacting. You've just described a couple people that were having problems. And it looked like there had been quite a shift in his thinking about what was appropriate after he had tried so hard to make sure they felt like they were getting paid fairly. When the show ended, we were still feeling like the artist had a lot of dissatisfaction with how things are going.
Mm-hmm.
The problems that the artists were having with Spotify and still do are really similar to the kinds of problems that the writers and actors are striking about right now. It's new technology coming in to do things that disrupt their earning potentials.
Yeah.
And there is no way to maintain, to sustain that potential that they had before. And it's not let me state that better. It's for lack of imagination on the part of the distributors. The distributors are just taking in the money, but they're not coming up with a good way to make sure that a writer can be middle class because of the way the streaming has changed contracts, the way they get paid. Spotify very much in the same way. It's cents instead of dollars. People that make music, and there isn't, like, you remember the Joe Rogan thing where they paid just a ridiculous amount of money to bring Joe Rogan exclusive. Was he even exclusive? I don't even think it was exclusive. It was just his primary platform. They had money for him, but they don't have money like that for artists. They had money for people like that because they thought podcasts were going to be where they would be able to make money. They could run our advertising against it. And so they tried to shift Spotify into a podcast platform, which they've somewhat did. I mean, you can get quite a bit of podcasts, but they already have seen a change in their revenue, and it's mainly coming from podcasts. It's not coming from the advertising that goes along with the music that most people get to enjoy for free just because they listen to a couple of advertisements. And again, just pennies people make as far as the artists on Spotify. And that's what the writers are looking at with these streaming contracts as they stand now. They make pennies, and they're facing institutions like an HBO Max where they take you. I don't know if you guys were following, but HBO removed a bunch of their classic content from their streaming service. They took it out of their portfolio because they had a tax liability to the creators by keeping it hosted there. And by taking it off, they don't have to pay those creators. And what they'll do is they'll take that content and they'll find some other streaming service and piecemeal these shows out, keeping them under their own brand. And let those streaming services figure out how they're going to make money and how they're going to pay the content creators. It's just a real mess as far as all that goes right now. Spotify's position couldn't be worse than if they had taken out a bunch of venture capital to pay musicians to make money for their service. I think that's the only way they could have made their situation worse. Nobody's happy. Spotify isn't making a lot of money. The artists aren't making a lot of money. Well, I guess we're happy because Spotify is available to all of us.
So this is another one of those Netflix ones, like the one about Big Pharma that I watched.
Different
Painkiller.
Yeah, the painkiller one. Yeah. And the one before that about anyways, where they're dramas, but they're real life. Is that the same kind? I don't know what you call that kind of a production. They're documentaries, but they're
docudramas.
Docudramas. There you go. Okay, so the docudrama. I don't know, but I love it.
Yeah.
Yes, according to Mom. Come on, it's got to be right.
Well, I just always thought Yeah, it is, and I've heard it before, but I always thought it referred to something that was had dramatizations in the documentary.
Well, doesn't this one? Doesn't
Well,
the
this one
Spotify
doesn't. Yeah, the Spotify one. Oh, maybe the Spotify one is. I'm trying to remember now. Did they have like a narrator that was talking about what was going down, and then they showed a dramatization of that happening, or was it a story that was being told that in the true sense of like a show or a movie?
It was a story. It was,
Yeah.
just like you were
Yeah.
watching a regular TV series. It was interesting though, because a couple of the actors, for whatever reason, would just turn to the camera and make a statement that would kind of reframe things. But it wasn't enough that you felt like you were watching a documentary.
Well, the same thing happened in the Barbie movie, where all of a sudden Helen Mirren says, note to the producers, do not cast this person in a role that says, I'm so ugly, or something, So, yeah, they kind of drop in every so often. But I like the term docudrama, a dramatization of a real or a history, a living thing kind of thing.
Well, speaking of that, we were very interested in seeing that there was a movie coming out on Golda.
Yes.
Right.
And we watched for it, and it was here for a week or two.
Was it that long?
We got ready to go see it on a Saturday, and we couldn't find it anywhere in any of our theaters. And we couldn't find it anywhere, just like it just disappeared, like it got no interest whatsoever in it or something. We were quite disappointed. Have you guys seen it?
Mm-mm. Well, we haven't. I've been to a movie theater and seen Barbie, and Bill hasn't been in one since I don't know when.
19 something, huh?
Barbie
No, we
being
did
the
go.
pinkest docudrama of the year.
I got a little comment. I've read a story about a person who finally went to the IMAX with their friend and paid $20 for 2 popcorn, and made a comment to the person serving the popcorn. They said, the last time I did this, it cost me $1 each. And the person serving it says, well, you'll like this show really well because now we have sound.
That guy was spot on.
That's really good.
Trouble is, it's kind of true.
Yeah. Sometimes too much sound.
Well, I went to Barbie on Cinema Day. It was Cinema Day or something anyway. So all tickets were $4, and then it cost me $1 each ticket to book it online, and to have a assigned seat where I wanted to sit. So for $5 each, Sheila Sullivan and I went to see Barbie, which was $10. I went up to have one small thing of popcorn. It was $12. So I paid more for my one popcorn than I did for 2 of us to go to the movies. So ridiculous.
And now we know where they make their money.
Yeah, and she paid $5 for a bottle of water, basically.
Wow.
A sparkling water or flavored water or something. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, I saw some reviews about the Golda movie. I can't remember what it was called, but it really did not get many stars. Every Friday our TV news has movie at the minute at the movies, and it was it slammed it, said it was uninteresting, and so maybe the theaters.
Okay, who starred in Golda?
Helen Mirren. And that was,
okay, so should have been a great performance.
Should have been.
Cheryl, it was your comment about Helen that made me think about Golda, because that's one of the reasons we wanted to go see it. She's such a good actress.
Yes.
Hey, well,
I just finished watching one. It's Triptych, and it's based on a real story of experimentation with genetics, and these girls find out that they actually were born as triplets, but they're all raised separately, and they're part of an experiment, a Nazi involved experiment with
Wow, they're
children.
not. That's the second story like that. It's called Triplets. Is that right?
No, it's called Triptych. This one, Tych, like Triptych.
T-I.
Triptych, I think. Triptych. It's on Netflix.
Well, that is the second story I've heard about. That is what you said. It was triplets. There's a brother story on Netflix as well.
Right.
I think we
haven't
talked
seen
about
that
it
one.
a year or two ago.
Oh, okay, this one, I don't know, it seems like everything I'm finding on Netflix is dubbed in, so I'm not sure what language it was recorded in, but I'm listening to it in English, and the subtitles are in English, but none of their lips are moving with what's being said, which is a little bit different. And very dark, very horror, thriller kind of filming.
Based on true story?
But based on a true story. Yeah, based on events, true events or something.
Looks like it's a Mexican production.
There you go. It could be because, it has a Mexican connection.
So Cheryl, when you say horror, how bad is it?
More thriller, I guess, than horror. It's not it's not blood and guts type stuff, but it's psychotic kind of episodes, and yeah.
As soon as it's labeled horror, it gets moved off of our watch list.
Yeah, me too, usually, and I always have a hard time when it says thriller too, but I would say this is in the freaky category.
Freaky.
Not the real horror.
Just ask her about The Last of Us.
I'm waiting for The Last of Us to come back on. The Last of Us was fun.
Hey, before we get too far away, you had mentioned the playlist, and I know we talked about Blackberry before, which is another one of those kinds of docudramas where they've based it on a true story. Blackberry's a great story. It's got a lot of Canada stuff in it because that's where they were based.
Yeah.
And so that's a wonderful story to watch, but a really fascinating thriller to watch that is based on true events is Tetris, the video game. That is a docudrama that's based on the instances that happened. If you don't know, Tetris very famously was developed in the Soviet Union, and it got licensed to Western countries through the state. And so this movie goes into detail, or I think it's a mini series, goes into details of how that programmer, his relationship with the state after his game had gotten bootlegged, and these companies trying to license it for sale in the United States. But it's an easy recommendation. It's very, very interesting.
I agree.
That Cold War period of the 80s.
When we first looked at it, we didn't think we would enjoy it, but we really did, even though we don't necessarily enjoy those shows that get that technical, but it was so well done.
Tetris,
just like the video game. That's what it's the history of the video game.
I'd like to go on record as mentioning that Tetris is the only game on a computer I've ever lasted more than about 10 minutes with. Can't handle the shoot 'em up ones.
Yeah.
How many of you play games?
Not me.
I do the puzzle, word puzzles, geography puzzles. I do those kinds of games. I play hearts and euchre and do you mean on a computer or in real life?
That kind of gaming is referred to as casual gaming or
Casual.
mobile gaming, which is the largest growing section of gaming. It's far surpassed any of the console gaming or PC gaming that goes on. So you have these hardcore gamers, some of them even making a career out of it. And the truth is that that kind of gaming is really niche. The thing that everybody is doing is playing solitary or playing these games on their mobile devices. And it spans across all age levels, all ethnic groups, all countries. There isn't anything specific about it. Everybody's doing Wordle. Everybody's doing solitary.
But the next generation, I guess it's two generations. Okay, the grandchildren, the youngest being the girl whose parents limit time on technology. She just now gotten a messengering system at 10 years of age, so we can message directly with her. She loves these little farm games, where you're I don't know, I have to buy pigs and I have to do this and I have to trade and all this kind of stuff. And she gets right into it and really excited about it and everything. So, and I know that the boys started with, I don't know what they're called, these farm games, building cities and that kind of stuff. But they very quickly progressed to the shoot 'em up stuff. So. And the other one that Veronica loves is fashion, changing the outfit on it's like paper dolls, so they're into that kind of thing.
Can't hear you, Terry.
Yeah, Terry's muted.
Paul, I was curious what kind of games you played, Paul.
Well, just the simple card games and things like that, Yahtzee and some of these where you're fitting blocks and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, puzzling.
The short-term games are not continuous. The only one that I've ever played where I was reaching levels was with Lemmings. Anybody else play Lemmings?
Lemmings.
That caught my attention for a while, but I don't know how far I got, level 50 or something like that.
Yeah, I guess they call the first-person ones where you take on the role, you have an avatar, those kind of games. I, for a while there, again, because the grandkids were doing it, the boys were playing Pokemon. And so I had a Pokemon Go, and I went to Vegas, and I was able to get some different Pokemons that they couldn't get in Canada. And it gave me something to talk to them about. I don't remember robots and the different characters' names, but they sure did. It's like talking to a child about dinosaurs. They know all the details, and they know all the things about it. But, yeah.
Well, I heard there was this fellow, he wasn't a real famous person, but he was amazed. He was someplace like Las Vegas, and everybody was coming by and taking his picture. And he thought, wow, I didn't realize how famous I was. And then somebody else says, well, you're standing next to a Pokemon.
Yeah. You're standing on, a gym or something like this. And I really, they had to explain it to me. What was the first one? Angry Birds, where you had to flip pigs into the air. I don't know. It was an Angry Birds type game. And the kids could explain it to me, and they just bought into it. That, yeah, there's a robot, right? It's right there, and I don't see it. So their imaginations could go much further than I could with it.
I think my last game was Pac-Man. I failed.
Mine too, Sandy.
You too can play Pac-Man today on a video screen.
Like I want to. I already failed once.
I know my first game, and it was not Pac-Man, but Pong in a bar.
Yeah, bar.
Point, point.
And it was
Yes.
a totally amazing game when we saw it.
That snake is interesting too. Keeps eating things and getting longer and longer and harder to control on the screen.
Which one is that?
Snake.
Snake.
Oh,
Snake.
yeah.
Oh.
What's the one where you ping the balls at it and then you can gather? If you hit the same color, then it disappears. Otherwise, it goes down the drain.
I don't
too
know that one.
advanced for me.
I think that it's. I can't
I don't
remember
know
what
if I
it's
can
called.
follow the storyline.
Yeah. No storyline. It's just a roll of balls, and whatever color comes up in your shooter, you have to shoot that color, and then it takes it out of the snake, and before his head disappears down the drain. Anyway, it's a dumb, silly, mind-wasting, stress-relieving. I don't know.
No
has
redeeming
its good
social
points.
value whatsoever.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. So it looks like Scott left us.
Oh, he must have something else to do.
Yeah.
Maybe
and-
something with the Apple presentation really caught his attention.
He just had somebody said, "Are you going to do some work here?" Yeah. Oh, maybe he's back. There he is. He heard us talking about him.
Yes, I'm just trying to get some work done at
There
the same time. But I did hear you guys.
It's good.
Instead of
The
all
young
this
is working.
So Scott,
Yeah, we're playing games.
it seemed like you were playing games up here with your friends and family, and at the same time you had family down in San Carlos, and you were playing games at the same time. Is that right?
Well, I think what you're referring to is we were doing D&D using the internet. And so it wasn't actually a computer game. It was a sit around the table and do role-playing game. But we were doing it with Sid. Like my buddies are all fans of D&D, so you guys know Sid. He was down south in Soldotna doing his work, and he was playing D&D on his off time with a video, like a Zoom call with us, a Google Meet call. At the same time, we had people in Mexico that were playing with us as well. I think it was when BB had not gotten here yet. So 2 different times we were doing remote game playing using the computer, but it wasn't computer games.
D&D, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, Dungeons and Dragons. There is a game that Justin and I like to play called Red Dead Redemption. And it allows you to get online and cowboy with your friends. And so you can say he can be in his game console, I can be in my game console, and we can meet up and ride horses and camp and do posses, go on adventures, rob people, break horses, stuff like that. Dad would tell you, I'm not much of a cowboy fan, but this game is so much fun. The best way to
Well, you got my interest now.
Sounds very complicated.
It's called Red Dead Redemption.
Huh.
And it's not so much complicated, but I don't know if it would interest somebody that actually likes to ride horses. I think it interests people that want to play people that are riding horses.
Okay.
But it's great. It's got a good storyline in it as well. The missions are robust, a huge kind of open world to do whatever you want, big map of different places to visit and explore. Red Dead Redemption.
Are you saying Red Dead?
Yeah, the color. Yeah.
And Dead, and then Redemption?
That's right. Red Dead Redemption. It's been around for a while. There's been a couple of different versions of it. The one I'm talking about is Red Dead Redemption Online, or Red Dead Redemption 2, the online version.
Well, that's the only game I've heard of I thought I might be interested in.
Nah. Well, you'd have to familiarize yourself with a gaming controller.
Oh,
And you need the hardware to run it.
You got stumped at game controller.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying I don't think it's that interesting to people that want to ride horses. Unless maybe if it
Only
was
one
on
of
the
these.
Wii, you could use the motion controller. You know, the Wii is that gaming platform that they built that you could play tennis or go bowling with. So
Oh
maybe,
yeah, right.
right? So maybe you could ride a horse with it. I don't know. It's an ancient console though, so that game would not play on that game on that console. Maybe when the VR helmets become just much more accessible to everyone, maybe a Red Dead Redemption style game would be available to anyone that was curious. You just put on a headset and be part of that without having to learn gaming controllers or special equipment. You just buy the headset and download the game.
Yeah.
I know I've gotten the opportunity to play with a Quest headset in the past. I was completely blown away by how very quickly you are not in the room, but you are in a virtual world. As soon as you stick it on, you're listening to things that are coming from the virtual world. Your eyes are adjusting to things that are in the virtual world. And the Quest that I only had a few moments with, but it was a living room, and you could play Netflix videos on the TV set. Which is pretty cool. Oh, go ahead. What was that, Jim?
Can you play them in 3D?
Yeah, well, that's the idea. Is the games are designed specifically for 3D immersion. So
Right.
yeah.
And so the TV show in that virtual reality living room.
No, in fact, what it is it's 2D. I think this is one of the killer apps that they're shooting for. It's not perfect, but at some point you're going to put on a pair of these headsets and be able to watch like an 80-inch screen or a 100-inch screen, and it just doesn't exist in your world. You're just staring off into space, and it's being presented to you at that size.
Wow. That's the concept.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe that'll limit some of the extraneous technology that we're buying all the time now. I often thought
certainly it would destroy the movie theater industry.
Yeah, well, when popcorn's $12 a pop, they're kind of doing it to themselves.
Well, that's true. That's really true.
And especially when we have experiences like COVID, movie tickets have not gone down in price. They've only gotten more expensive. I think they're desperately looking for what is the experience that will draw people in. I got a feeling that what we are going to see in the movie theaters in the future are going to be more Top Guns, Avenger movies, Spider-Man movies, things of that nature, things that could be considered an experience more than a storytelling.
Yeah.
I got a question. In order for me to experience a TV or the movie experience, I first got to find a $12 package of microwave popcorn. Sorry.
You're gonna take it in with you, huh?
That's not available in the VR glasses. You could get up to the concessions counter with them, but it would be you'd be virtually eating popcorn, which is probably better for your waistline anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, guys, I don't know if you want to go on or not. Well, this meeting hasn't ended, but we've definitely been at it for an hour and 20 minutes.
Yeah, I was wondering what happened there. Is that because you sent it to me, and I don't know what happened, but yeah, we've been on for at least an hour and 20 minutes.
Yeah. We should be coming to the close of our meeting, and we've done some recommendations. I've got nothing more to add. You guys have anything else you'd like to add?
That was just amazing. Terry went from one box on the screen to another box and got a kiss out of the whole thing. Wow. You know, like, geez. And spread across YouTube.
What can I say?
To the world.
This lucky girl.
Tammy.
Okay, you guys, I'm out of here then.
Wait.
We'll see it.
Oh, there.
Ah,
Very
Cheryl got
good.
her kiss.
Oh.
Judy, you
kiss
need to come
Linda.
back. See what would magically appear in Judy's screen.
Right.
Well, as long as Scott doesn't have somebody from the office come in and peck on his cheek, we're okay.
Yeah, they've already come in and shut the door because I was making too much noise.
Okay, well, you guys take care. Next Tuesday, I'm in, well, Bill's going to be with me. We're at hospital for a clinic check, so no, you won't see us next week.
I will be in San Carlos next Tuesday, but like I said before, we'll plan on in-person meetings starting in October.
We'll see you November 13th.
Yeah.
Oh, 14th. November 14th is the Tuesday.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. Until then, we'll
Okey-dokey.
do virtual meetings, right?
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
All right. You guys tack
Nice
on.
job, Cheryl.
Nice job, Cheryl. Nice job,
Thank you,
guys.
Cheryl. Bye-bye. Well, we did it again. Thank you, Cheryl, for taking the majority of that meeting. I feel fortunate to have been able to participate as much as I did. This is the San Carlos Computer Club, and I am Scott Stimpson from International Computer Solutions. And if you found this interesting, check out our website at scclub.org. And if you're looking for your own solutions out there on the internet, get a hold of me, Scott at internationalcs.net. Until next Tuesday at 10 Arizona Sonoran time, tech on.